because there are various ways it gets rejected. So by being as narrow and precise as possible, you can make a request that's got a reasonable chance of succeeding. Ways to get your request rejected are doing things like saying, I'd like to have the minutes of all the ministers' meetings with this particular group over 6 years or something, and I'll just say, no, too much time, too much effort, no, and that will be that.
On the other hand, if you give too specific a request, and you're looking for a specific type of data or a specific point for a news article, and they think it might be sensitive, they'll quite frequently kick it back and try and hide and bury the information. If you ask for something a bit wider, and if you know there's something sensitive in there, they're not asking for something quite so specific, they're less likely to pick up on it.
Because on the one hand, that you need the data in order to understand what they're discussing, so that you can have some chance of influencing what's going on. On the other hand, they don't want to reveal their political hand too much and have got some right to conduct policy discussions a little bit in private at times. So that one can really catch lots of information which ought to be public.
You can request, because there is a civil service group for training civil servants, and they have all of these training programs. I'm fairly sure that they are covered. So at which point you can possibly request that.
Yeah, there's actually, the government's got a really good data protection training course that they give free to people. So if you're in, they give it free to all the local authorities, they give it free to, not to civil, but like citizens and like bureau and people like that.
Of course, that's another exception. If it's information that is available, but for a fee, you cannot use FOI to bypass that fee, and if they set a fee, you do have to pay it.
Like council searches.
Yeah, or for example, the training course, if that costs money,
yeah,
you can't get the training materials under FOI.
Under your control, and within which, at a fairly granular level, you can commission the sharing, specific sharing of specific pieces of information. Obviously, it doesn't sort out the big problems of once that data has been shared and how it is treated at the receiving end, but with a platform, with platforms that provide that basic capacity, then comes a next stage when one will be able to move towards, rather than passing over or sharing data, one could pass over an accredited or a digital certificate that was an accredited proof of claim. So we're talking about an evolving proposition, and one which, like you say, DocSource, many others, the sort of VRM approach, the quantified self approach, people have been working on this, these sorts of ideas of you having more control over your data, and if you have that control, what is it that you can actually do with that?
Heard of Path? So Path is a mobile app in America. It's very much a bit like kind of tools like Facebook and stuff like that, right? So, but you only have a limited number of kind of friends who you can be in touch with, right? There was a big furore about them in the last year and a half or so, because if you install it on your phone without consenting to, you've already uploaded your entire address book to their service.
All you need to prove is that two things are linked without having to actually know too much about Bob or Alice or anything like that. That's kind of, well, one kind of more concrete example, which if you're interested, you might want to look further into. I realised we used the word VRM without explaining what that is. So I'm assuming if I say CRM, people are familiar with the term CRM, right? Customer relationship management, the thing that people use to just run marketing stuff at you, right? There was an idea which has been going for about maybe 10 years now, maybe a little bit longer, which is called vendor relationship management, which rather than you signing all the boilerplate for other people, in order for someone to actually interact with you, they need to sign your terms and conditions instead. So it's very much inverted the whole idea, really.
Because when you think about it, these fourth parties and these personal data stores, they're probably not going to do it for free. And so we sort of have to get to the point where we're prepared to spend money on this, and that there are people competing, and that there is actually a direct value, so that the moment you sign up, you're not a pioneer, using the world's first open source hardware phone that can't ring anybody. You're actually, you're using the technology, and it can be spread out to the masses. And I think that to me, the stumbling block with Project VRM is going to be that commercial arrangement, not necessarily the philosophical thing that we'll probably all agree with, I would guess. And That's a good question. Does anyone disagree with that idea?
A couple of years ago, there was a whole section on cloud, and European companies were coming out and saying, basically, this is a business opportunity for European companies to build up cloud with a strong data protection, completely compliance, And the Americans were saying that's protectionist. That's protectionism.
Yeah, they're using privacy as a trade barrier. And we have actually had sessions in Congress last year where the big IT lobbyists came in and they said exactly that. And I've actually got some video clips I can show you which would probably make your jaw drop. So I think we need a little bit of everything. To improve a negotiating position, we need to build up a cloud industry. To provide whistleblowing deterrence, we probably need a whistleblower clause into this data protection stuff. And I have actually succeeded in tabling about 6 or 8 amendments to the data protection regulation. So you'll have heard about the stuff that EDRI's done in Brussels, which is great, but for reasons I can't really explain, EDRI has not gone near this stuff. I've been trying to get EDRI to do things on this for 18 months, and EDRI has done absolutely all. And I don't know why. So I would like EDRI to do something about this. I badger them to do something about this. Their reaction was to expel me from EDRI.
Stuff like, so I'm running a Fitbit, which is it's like a digital pedometer, but it has software in it which obviously tells it to do certain things at certain times. Now, some of those things I would like to be able to mess with, to hack around with it, but you can't. Well, it's very difficult to do it, and it's going to get more and more difficult. So actually, Nike have a thing called Fuel Band. That only runs on iOS. It will not run on Android. It will not run on Ubuntu, obviously, or Linux at all. And so you are stuck. You have to use a Mac. You have to use it in the way.
If you've got lots of users who contribute, then you can't restrict how a piece of software runs because you don't have a dominant power sat on top of it, like, for example, Canonical with Ubuntu. But if you've got a huge user base and lots of them contributing, they're little bits left out and centre, you end up with something wonderful, beautiful like KDE. And it's kind of you don't run into the edges quite so often. And when you do, you find that there's a whole other configuration panel that lets you do more stuff.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you are right. I think it does boil down to kind of open and closed proprietary, but I think it's starting to.
Surely beyond that, because
it's
casting Ubuntu into that in the kind of directional stuff.
Because that's the thing. There was a massive outcry when they brought in Unity, and then now they're moving away from Wayland. I'm not sure to something else, and